live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Log Talk Radio.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Mitchell Family Talk Show. Today, we have a special guest on the panel, and it's the man that refuses to die. Ladies and gentlemen, when I say former ECW, we're talking about back in the days when it was not rolling on social media. So I want to welcome everybody here. The man that refused to die. Thank you for being here.
Oh, it's my pleasure, brother.
Good to see you, man.
It's good to see you too.
And everybody's tuned into the Mitchell Family Reality Show TV radio show on Blog Talk Radio. Like I said, we have the man that refuses to die. And if you want to, please feel free to call in on the radio show on Blog Talk Radio on our guest line at 657-383-0631. Again, 657-383-0631. All right, let me get back where I need to be at. Ladies and gentlemen, please hold your questions. Good morning, all mods. If you don't care to take over the chat, I really appreciate it. I'm going to ask the man refuses to die questions, and then we're going to go from there. And please have your questions ready to ask him. Write them down, have them ready, get them typed up when I say the chat's open. The chat is open right now for the mods and stuff to welcome everybody in. But when I say the chat is open to ask questions, please go ahead, and when I tell you that, have your questions ready. So the man who refuses to die. Before you became a YouTuber, let's talk about a little bit about your life. What did you do before you become a YouTuber?
Well, I was born in Brooklyn, New York in 1970. I've been a wrestling fan since I was like 8. I met Hogan and Macho Man. My uncle used to work at Madison Square Garden. So I met them when he used to be their paymaster. So you go to, talk about go to the pay window, baby. He used to be the one to pay him. Well, I started hanging around the wrestling business at 12 and 13. I was setting up rings when I was 14 and 15. But due to circumstances in my home life, I left home when I was 16 and I joined the service. And I spent from 86 to 90 in the Navy. 91 is when I got out. I started wrestling little podunk nothings, one-horse towners. And 91, 92 we had our daughter, my oldest, and I worked a regular job, sometimes 2 or 3. I did everything from lay asphalt to work at U.S. Bank. When your back can't do it no more, your brain's got to do it.
That's right.
I did a lot of little wrestling shows, real small. I was trained by Mike Sharp and Johnny Rods, in the early 90s. I should say in the late 80s, I was learning from, they were teaching me stuff. And in the early 90s, that's when I started taking off. But when I started working at ECW, it was always dark matches. Back then, you had tape traders, and you were lucky if you got 2 minutes on a tape. Because the actual show for ECW, before it changed into Extreme, was 47 minutes long. And out of that 47 minutes, 22 minutes were cut up for promos. You only had like 20 minutes, 25 minutes of wrestling actually going on in the original ECW with all the gimmicks that they had. Like, Sandman was a surfer boy, was a surfer dude. I started wrestling more on the house shows in Philly in 93, 94 when I started becoming more hardcore. But my original career was cut short because I broke my back in '93. I got knocked off a loading dock, fell 12 feet, and had to have 5 back surgeries. And from '93 to about '96, all I did was show up at shows. I didn't wrestle. It's kind of like when one of the pit bulls broke his neck. He would just show up in the halo. Well, I would show up in a chair, and mine was legit. His was only partially legit. His was part of a gimmick and a storyline. For the last 6 months, he was wearing the halo. It was only a storyline. But once I started being able to walk again and could go back to training and working out, because I used to be a gym rat, I would take my favorite match was a tables match, because I didn't mind going through the tables. I didn't mind putting people through them either, because I was a little violent so-and-so back in the day. I had a hot temper, so we could fight all night long and beat the hell out of each other and then go have a beer later. But yeah, most of my career was regular jobs while trying to make it in the wrestling business, working indies, traveling 200 days a year to make towns in between working a regular gig and trying to raise a family. So, I mean, it was nothing spectacular. I wish I could say I was like a Kevin Nash and worked at strip bars and as a bouncer. No, I'm 5'8.5" and 170 pounds. I couldn't intimidate anybody as a bouncer.
So you was in the service. Thank you for your service, by the way. How long was you in the service for?
Almost 5 years.
Okay. So I know you went through a lot there. I know you've seen a lot. Like I said, we won't. A lot of people have flashbacks. You ever have flashbacks?
No. Everything I did in the service, I'm totally cool with. But I think that has to do with my brain injury. So I don't think of things the same way as other people do. I don't have the same emotional baggage strapped to my head like a lot of people do, because I lost part of my frontal lobe. I'm not this pretty, by God's good grace.
Right. Tell us your best match you did in ECW.
The best match I did was with Dirty White Boy. That's for those who don't know, it's Tracy Smothers. And the best match we did was a kendo stick on a pole. And he beat the snot out of me. I had to get like 60 stitches and like 10 staples in my head. Because when he laid it in, that boy laid it in. But he actually let me do my finisher move. Because my name when I was working at ECW was Ezekiel the Fallen Angel. And Ezekiel was a prophet in the Old Testament. He was tempted by the devil. And I decided to put Ezekiel and the Fallen Angel together before Christopher Daniels started doing his Fallen Angel gimmick for TNA and NWA. And my finishing move was we would climb up to the top of the ropes, and I'd have a table set up, and I would do the soul plunge, which was a sit out powerbomb through a table. Well, when I worked with Tracy, he would let me do it outside the ring. So we would jump from the top rope through 2 tables wrapped in barbed wire and hit the floor, hit the concrete. That was my favorite. That was my favorite match. And he won because he had, I'm just a jobber, but he let me do the finisher. And then he got up, beat the monkey hell out of me. I don't remember much of that night because I had a concussion and black eye, and I looked even prettier than I do now.
So how long would you say you was in the business for?
Off and on, 20 years. In between health issues and the back issues, I was on and off 20 years. I mean, I still would go to shows before I moved out here to Cali, and just do promo, shoot work, talk crap, supporting the local baby face, or if I wanted to play the heel, I'd support the local heel. There's a wrestling company in Tennessee called EWP. It's Hercules Wrestling Promotion, and they used to do a lot of East Tennessee and North Alabama shows, and I'd go there every couple of weeks to hang out and run my mouth.
Hello. Huh? Getting fake IRS calls. Sorry about that.
No worries. I get those all the time too. I laugh at them.
Oh,
the calls I like.
I didn't receive it. I just got it yesterday. I'm sorry, and I'll have to get back with you because I'm on the business call. Thank you.
My favorite calls are the credit card calls.
That was something else. I thought it was. I gotta get back into the station. Dang people. Hold on.
No worries, brother.
Welcome to Blog Talk Radio. Please enter your host PIN. When finished, press the pound key. Start your show now, press 1. Since it appears you're calling back into a live show, we are reconnecting you now.
Ladies and gentlemen, I did put a number in on the chat. Please call that number to ask him questions. We will take your calls anytime. Feel free to call the number I did post there on all the mods. The number here again. Here's the number. Please call this number to ask him questions. All mods, please share that in the chat. So you can ask questions to the man who refuses to die personally on the radio station, on our radio station, on the Mitchell Family Reality Show TV. Call in and ask him questions. We would love to have you call in and talk to him personally on a radio show. All right. So how far have you traveled? I don't know if I asked that.
I've gone everywhere from Boston down to Tampa and as west as Nolens and up. I've never made it past Texas. That's about as west as I've made it up until I moved to Cali.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're fine, brother. I was just saying, because I was trying to figure a way of finishing the sentence.
Yeah.
But now, go ahead. Ask your next question, brother.
So after you started traveling and stuff, what was the next best match you've had?
We were working in Anniston, Alabama with Uncle Cletus. Yes, and it sounds as fun as it sounds. On the card, we had Brad Armstrong, Marty Jannetty, Bullet Bob Armstrong, Doink the Clown was there. One of the incarnations. It wasn't Matt. Unfortunately, they couldn't book him. But that was my best match. I wasn't even working the match. I did ring setup. I played security. I walked Bob out to the ring. It was a spanking match because Brad was being a brat, and Daddy had to take Brad out to the woodshed. Well, the match, Bullet won as usual, and he was in the process of spanking Brad for being a brat. And Marty Jannetty, Brad, the way Bullet used to do it, he would get out of a folding chair, sit in a chair, take Brad over his knee, and spank him like he would in the old days. Well, Marty decided to mollywop Bullet, take Bullet out and crush the entire chair, crush Brad in the process. And when he did, all of us jumped the ring to beat up Marty, because now Marty's playing heel and he's not supposed to beat up on a 70-year-old man. So we all came out to defend Bullet. And the only reason why the match was good is because some dude tagged me for real. And when he did, I lit him up. And that was my favorite part of the match. The match itself, you knew what was going to happen. It was fun. Bullet did a lot of high spots, a lot of strutting. And I've always liked Bullet Bob. Him and I still talk to this day every now and again. But that was my next favorite match. And it wasn't even one I was in. It's just the way the crowd fit into it. It was a 2,000-seat house. And
that's where I got that from.
What?
I was in a hardcore match one time. I had my wife with me. She was pregnant. She didn't believe I was a wrestler, so I took her to a show, and I had this hardcore match. This guy's shoe came off. I put him on my knee and whipped him with the shoe.
Well, when Bullet comes out of retirement, he's semi-retired. He'll never actually retire. When he comes out of retirement, he likes to do a spanking match just because he's the old grandfather, great-grandfather, and he wants to beat up on these young whippersnappers. So it always makes me giggle. Always makes me giggle.
So now you're a YouTuber. What inspired you, or who inspired you, got you into the YouTube business?
Okay. I've always wanted to do YouTube. I'm good on the stick. I like to cut promos. I'm a very opinionated person, so when I see something I don't like, I feel like I need to speak on it. But before I moved to Cali, I didn't have the right setup. It was always too noisy. You couldn't really, as you can hear, it's kind of quiet here. It was always too noisy when I was living in Tennessee. There's too many people, too many dogs barking, too much traffic. So when I finally got out here and I got my new got my new PC set up and all my new software, I'm like, I can finally do it. But I've been a YouTube follower of a few people for a lot of years. The two guys that actually made me believe I could do it or wanted me to do it was a guy named Bearing, who's a big YouTuber on here. He's from Australia, and another guy named Undoomed. Those two guys were my inspiration for doing it because they're kind of sarcastic, and they do social commentary, but the way they do it is they will play somebody else's video or somebody else's interview, and they'll make comments in between some of the segments. But the person I got to say that really pushed me and said, hey, babe, you can do this, was my wife. Without her, I wouldn't be doing this. And that's just a fact. Other people can inspire you, but when you have somebody who actually believes that you can do these things, they push you to do it and say, hey, you should do this. You have good ideas. You have good thoughts. That's my missus. Hands down. She's the person that if without her, I wouldn't be doing this now.
What is the best video you ever made on YouTube?
Oh, well, I've only made about 50 so far. I think short of the collaborations I've had with you on live stream and Iron Dog, I think my very best video so far to date was my first one. Because now I'm learning a lot of new tricks that I didn't know then. So it's a little bit more raw, a little bit more real. As you can see, I don't do a whole lot of editing.
What could you say to the new blood, the new guys are just now starting into the business or still in training that or may have their first match?
All right. Well, the first thing I say is when you first walk into the locker room, you shake everybody's hand. Once you're done with that, you don't initiate conversation. You go sit in the corner and you shut up and you listen. You open your ears, you open your eyes, you close your mouth. Because you're not going to learn anything from people that are like you, that are new to the business, the new blood. You've got to absorb the knowledge from the guys like me who've been traveling the roads and hitting the potholes. You got to listen to the things they say because that's where you're going to learn your best stuff. And they're starting to become a slim commodity as we're all getting older and dying. So take advantage of them while you can and never disrespect or dismiss what a veteran's got to say to you. Because even if you think you know it already, still listen because there's going to be something in it that you don't know that you're going to hear. And later down the road, when you're traveling to the next town, it's going to click. If you keep your eyes and ears open and your mouth shut. That's the biggest thing. And don't believe your own hype.
So if you don't mind me asking, and I don't like stepping on toes, but if you feel comfortable about it, let's talk about your patch.
Oh, no, I'm fine.
Is this a gimmick? Is this a gimmick that you're wearing on YouTube, or is this something from an injury, or what?
I got sick in the 90s. I developed brain cancer. They said it was from taking too many chair shots. I supposedly had a tumor in my face or my head since I was a kid. The type of cancer that I had is the type that usually kills children. And neurological blastoma, it kills kids before they're like 16, 17 because it just starts to grow once you hit puberty. Mine did not. But from being overseas and being in Kuwait and Afghanistan and then coming back here and then taking all the chair shots that I took and all the concussions that I had, they think that kick-started the tumor. And the tumor grew up behind my facial plate, behind the eye, and up into my brain. The eye coverage because the eye doesn't work because the tumor took out the optic nerve. But it was also because my face was bleeding for 18 months and it was very photosensitive before I lost complete sight in it. So it was to block out the sun and also to keep people from having to see the hamburger meat that was my orbital bone for almost 2 years. And now it's just because it keeps dirt out. I still get headaches. The scarring is pretty significant. I can see it. So it bothers me. So I just keep the patch on because now people tend to stare at you less when you're wearing a patch and they know something's wrong than if you're just walking around with an eye closed or 3/4 closed. Then they tend to stare and point and, snicker if you're a jerk and wonder if you're not. So, but yeah, I was given 6 months to live when they first diagnosed me. That was like 23 years ago. And I'm still here. I beat the odds on that.
So say if we have people that are just wanting to get ready to start doing some YouTubing, want to become YouTubers. I know that it's tough times here on YouTube right now. We both know.
Yep.
What can you say to encourage them?
All right. I just started my channel a couple months ago. Literally, it's like 7 weeks ago. And I've already got over 600 subs. I'm pushing the 10,000 view mark, 10,000 viewers marker that YouTube wants you to have now before they will review your channel. Just keep putting out what you like. As long as you like it and you don't, you don't allow the trolls to eat you, you eat the trolls, you just keep going. You just keep putting out videos, you'll get better. Everybody's first 10, 20, 30 videos suck because we don't know what the hell we're doing. We're just winging it. Some of us know more than others, with the editing and the software stuff. I'm a noob. I'm a babe in the woods. I just put out what I put out in one take. I like it. My wife likes it. As long as you have one person that likes what you're doing, keep doing it and just improve. But make sure you do content every day. Find a topic that you're passionate about and stick with that topic. Don't just jump from, like, today it's social justice warriors and tomorrow it's Build-A-Bear. You don't want to do that because you confuse your audience. And these audiences are really niche audiences. They're going to like all the stuff you do on social commentary, but they may not like what you do on Build-A-Bear. So you get a lot of hate from that. Don't let the hate get to you. It's just like anything else. People want to take you down. They want to drag you down because they're not happy with what they're doing. And when somebody's hating on you, look at what they've done. They got no videos up. They've got no real picture up. There's no profile to speak of. Ignore them. Blow them off and move on. Because you'll find a lot of people that do like what you're saying.
Okay, so we're going to take some questions because the number I did post it in the chat, ladies and gentlemen, is getting ready to close down in 1 minute. If you can get a call in 1 minute to ask them a quick question, feel free to. 60 seconds is going to end, ladies and gentlemen. But go ahead and type your questions in the chat. If you do not want to call in, there's no, I was just trying to give you all opportunity. Yeah, I was trying to give you all opportunity to call in and actually talk to him live here on the Mitchell Family Reality Show TV radio station. We would love to hear from you. We would love to have you ask the questions that way. But if you all have any questions, please go ahead and type it in the chat. We would love to, hear from you. We're getting ready to go in podcast. So you can find this here on iTunes. If you got an iTunes account, if you don't got an iTunes account, please sign up for iTunes.com and you can find this in iTunes underneath the Mitchell Family Reality Show TV. So we're getting ready to go in pre-recording on the Mitchell Family Reality Show TV radio station. And also, ladies and gentlemen, while we're talking, make sure y'all check out the P.O. Box and make sure y'all check out the merchandise in the description for sure. All right, so what is the name of his channel? The Man That Refuses to Die. Thank you, Julie. The Man Who Wouldn't Die.
It's the man who refused to die.
Well, he wouldn't die, so he's still here.
Yeah.
Anybody got any questions you want to ask him? Please feel free to ask them now. We would love to hear from you. We want any questions about his wrestling career. Thank you, Jamie467. He seems like a very cool guy. He is a very awesome guy on camera, even off camera, because I've talked to him. We talked almost 3 hours last night, basically.
Yeah, we did. On the phone, BSing.
That's right. And that's what I said. He's cool on camera and he's cool off camera. So feel free to ask him about his wrestling career. Feel free to ask him about his about him being in the service or thanking him for being in the service. That's one thing you all should be doing is thanking all military service men and women that was in the service or is still in the service, thanking them for their service, for sure. But yeah, feel free to ask them any question you want to. I was
going to add an addendum to that. Say a prayer for those who gave it all.
There you go.
Come home.
I love he never ever give up.
My theory on giving up is if I give up, then I teach my kids the wrong thing to do. When things get hard, you have to dig in. You have to try everything. When you got a family, you got kids, and you're setting an example and being a role model, you can't teach them to take the easy way out every time. Life ain't easy. So you got to teach them to fight and dig and scratch and do whatever you can to make sure you and yours are taken care of.
Where did you wrestle?
I wrestled all over. I wrestled everywhere from Boston, Massachusetts, down to Tampa, Florida. I wrestled for Alpha, for the Wild Samoans back in the day, for WXW. I wrestled for CZW. I wrestled for Pensacola Wrestling Alliance. I wrestled for Uncle Cletus. I wrestled for Extreme Wrestling 2000. I wrestled a whole bunch of places you guys have probably never heard of. I wasn't big enough to make it. I even tried out at the power plant and did about a week and a half and said, I can't do this and try and raise a family because they don't pay you to do it. They give you like $50 a week, $100 a week when you were doing it at the power plant. But you had to pay to get the tryout. So you already had to have money. And having a wife and a kid, new kid, not good. Having a wife and a new kid is no good. Not when you're trying to get into business. You got to kind of have some money, kind of have some stuff lined up already. A lot of us, when we got in, we were young and dumb. We were like, oh, we could do this and work. Didn't realize you got to try and juggle a family on top of on the road, working a regular gig, and then switching off from your on the road persona to your normal persona. That's a hard thing to do.
Julie says, thank you for your service.
You're very welcome, ma'am. It was my pleasure. It's my honor.
Let's see. Dane, big names.
I've wrestled with a lot of different people. I loved going to the ECW locker room because you never knew who was messed up on what, and I didn't do those things. My favorite thing to do was after the show we'd go out and drink a little. But it was always fun. It was always interesting to walk in the door and see who was on what and who was talking to the wall. I remember days where Sandman couldn't barely string together 2 sentences. But the minute that his music hit, it was like a switch flipped in his head. He was like on point. Now he's gotten older, so he's gotten a lot sloppier, but he's never been a good worker. He's always been a good hand. And those guys I learned a lot from. I learned a lot on how to sell being injured better than I did before. Because Sammy would always get injured and he'd always sell it really good. You're welcome, James. It was my pleasure, brother. Like I said, it was my honor. I believe everybody should serve if they're capable. Without us serving, nobody's protected.
My brother, Chuck Taylor, stated, I wrestled my socks this morning, getting them on my feet.
I do that now. Ever since I lost the use of a leg, and I wear this brace, I have to wrestle my socks on my feet. I feel you, brother.
Let's see. Dane, them ECW guys are crazy.
They were crazy, but they weren't near as crazy as some of the other places. Like if you wrestle in Alabama, them old boys are just strange. You know, I'd see a guy do 3 or 4 lines, and then they like to energize a rabbit. You know, when you see that stupid commercial where the battery's dead, they put the new battery in. It's like boom, and they would just do stupid stuff. You know, smack their own head with a 2x4, so they come out with color. And that's what Goldberg got his color. He would bang his head into a locker room and then into his locker door every night, to the point where he gave himself brain damage.
Lenny says, I wish I lived next door to him and his family. Honestly, it's a loss of virtue. VIRTUE.
Virtue. Yeah, honesty is a lost virtue. I agree with you. People are too afraid of what they're going to see or what people are going to see about them. They always have to try and hide stuff. I'm one-eyed, one-legged. I've had 5 back surgeries, 3 heart attacks. I've survived cancer 4 times. I've got COPD and type 2 diabetes. I ain't got nothing to hide. When you can't kill me, you know, Mother Nature's tried. She's been failing at it miserably. But being honest is the only thing you have. Your name is the only thing you have in this world. If you don't have your name, you got nothing.
James 467 says, Tommy Dreamer was my favorite.
Tommy's a really good guy, both in and out of the ring. When they were having all their financial troubles, I was sick when they were having a lot of their financial troubles. And Paulie was writing checks that bounced, the checks that you couldn't cash this week. You had to wait till next week so you could borrow the money. Tommy would give guys money out of his pocket. because he invested a lot of money into ECW. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but he was a partial owner of ECW back in the day, which is why he fought so hard to try and make it work. But he would pay guys. He hadn't seen a check in 6 months, but he would pay guys out of his mortgage money so they could get back and forth and have something to eat when Paulie was really hitting the skids.
BR Fam TV says, I be watching him. Actually, truly got an awesome vibe. Very cool dude. On fire, 100% fist bump and strong muscles, basically.
Thank you, BR Fam. I appreciate it. I'm glad you guys like some of my content. I know I'm a bit rough around the ears occasionally, but I just call it like I see it.
Hey, Amber and John, welcome. Anybody else got any questions for the man who refuses to die? Feel free to ask them. We got a few more minutes because we got to go into town and do some things. So, anybody else got any questions?
I'll give you my last match.
Go ahead.
I was working in Mobile, Alabama. Was it Mobile? It was in Alabama. I'm not sure where. I was working with a guy called Slick Nick. Me and him didn't like each other in real life.
Slick Nick.
We had a stupid ring name, and after this match, he never wrestled anymore. But we used to fight for real. You know, he would take cheap shots. He would potato me, and I'd get a receipt. And he'd cry to the promoters about me, giving him a receipt for what he did to me 20 minutes ago. And we were doing a show where it was a hardcore match, and we had a 40-foot scaffold, and me and him climbed up to the scaffold, beating each other up. It was kind of like a Vic Grimes New Jack thing, and we were trying to emulate that particular scenario. Our scenario went a little bit better, but not much. Kicked him, elbowed him in the face, picked him up, and went to do the sit-out powerbomb through 4 tables wrapped in barbed wire, and the bottom table was set on fire. We hit the tables just fine. He moved. He slid forward. Well, when you're wrestling, if a guy slides forward, he's in your lap. If you don't slide forward with him, you'll break his neck when you land. Because what happens is his head will pop back like this. So I had to slide forward. When I slid forward, it took us off the angle of the tables, went through all the tables, went through the barbed wire. I slingshotted. Went first into his gut, over top of him, and then slingshot back and busted my head wide open and gave myself a massive concussion. I was incognito for 3 days. And they said I still won the match. It became a shoot fight because I don't remember beating him up, but we started trading serious licks according to them, and I was just pouring blood out of my skull, and he kept trying to dig my skull out. So they said I broke his nose, and I hit him with an elbow to the forehead and laced his forehead open, and that was the end of it. Knocked him out. Laid on top of him, bleeding on him, pinned him. I don't remember doing any of that. I don't remember the next 3 days after that, so that's when I decided, my brain's already taken enough damage. I might want to stop doing these sorts of things. And that was in the early 2000s. Early 2000s. And like I said, I still do some spot promo stuff, but I don't get in the ring anymore. My body's too broke, and I don't like taking the hits.
Well, I like watching. Right. What I like watching is Zach. You ever met Zach?
Zach.
He's a one-legged man.
Oh, yeah. I've never met him, but I've seen his stuff.
Yeah, I met him in person. At first, when I saw it, I was still in the business. I saw him take his leg off. I was wanting to get in there and help the dude. But he says, calm down. I got this. Dude kick butt. Yeah.
And he's another cancer survivor. So, you can do anything. You can't let your current health issues limit you. One of my daughters says we need to stop limiting her.
WWE for a little while too.
Yeah, but they used him as a carnival act, like they used to use Andre, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
But he made his money. He got out. Now he does what he wants, and that's a good thing.
Right. Amber and John had a question. She goes, I have a question for the man who refuses to die. Does he have 9 lives? LOL. He's like a cat.
Yeah, but I think most of my lives are about used up. I think I got 2 to spare besides the one that I'm living now. I don't really want to go back to having to use extra lives. It's like playing a video game. You keep putting quarters in for the extra lives. I think I put in like 25 quarters.
The BR TV says this guy is one tough guy overcoming a lot of health issues and is strong hit it. He's got a new sub. Is me.
I appreciate it, BRFM. I appreciate it completely. Like I said, I'm humble and I'm grateful that you guys like what I do. You know, if you don't like it, you can always tell me why you don't like it. I'm always open to a conversation. But, you know, I'm just glad that things are working out and things are going well.
James 467. Yeah, James 467. I grew up with Raw is War Wrestling.
Yeah, that's when it started to go bad. Raw is War Wrestling. That's when they started changing things from you can't call it wrestling no more. You can't call the belt a belt. It's got to be a championship, and it's got to be sports entertainment. And now everything is scripted. Back in the old days, it was a whole lot easier to do what we do when you didn't have anybody telling you what you had to say. When you could play it off the cuff, that was always the best. Those are the best promos. A case in point, I know everybody's seen the CM Punk and Kevin Nash exchange a few years ago. Nash even said it on a podcast, and he's like, you know, now it's like I can't say anything. I got to say what they tell me to say, or they'll fire me. Back in the old days, it wasn't like that. You could say whatever you wanted. You could talk about anything you wanted. You can insult the dude's wife. You can insult the dude's kids. You can insult his whole genetic family and call him an inbred piece of trash, and nobody would have a feeling about it other than, oh wow, I can't believe you just said that. Now it's just everything is exactly improvising. Wow. Now it's just everything is cookie cutter. I'm not a real big fan of the product because everything is always about high spots now. You have to do better than what you did yesterday, and that's leading these guys to take a lot of injuries, take a lot of concussions, and killing a lot of guys early because of the stuff that they've done. I mean, look at me, my body is broke. I ain't dead, but I couldn't get back in the ring now if I wanted to. I mean, believe me, I want to. We were just talking about Lucha Underground because they film it about an hour from here. I was like, yeah, I want to go to Lucha Underground. I want to get in the ring. She's like, no, my wife's like, no, you can't do that.
You can't go without me. I've been watching out to Cali.
Come your happy butt out to Cali. We'll go to Lucha Underground. The beauty of Lucha Underground is they tape.
Yeah, I've seen them on TV.
Well, they tape all their shows in a 3-month span, like they do a TV show. So all those crowds are there for 12 hours a day. Yeah, they start early in the morning and end at 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, it airs at 12 o'clock at night. I played their games too.
Well, I don't really play wrestling games much anymore. They've gotten too much of a pain in the ass. Too technical. You got to pay attention to everything you do. I like the old games, like the old N64 Raw's War game. That was one of my favorites because you could do whatever you wanted. You could make characters the way you wanted to do. You didn't have to worry about IP licensing. Like if I wanted to make a new NWO faction, I could do that. Can't do that on these new ones if they're not signed to the company.
Right. Julie says exactly and with a awesome attitude.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it, ma'am.
Do not accept what comes to your inboxes. If you're on Facebook, you're following us, do not accept this right here. That's what I was basically telling you. Can you see that?
Hold on one second. What is that?
That is somebody that sends around. So that's me, basically, and me, my family. And we got like 84,757 views.
Oh, yeah, no. I get those all the time. And I hit the person up and say, yo, you've been hacked. And then I block their ability to send me messages on Facebook until they run a spyware or a spy killer. I don't fool with that whole forwarding crap on Facebook. It annoys me.
Well, I get that too, but I'm saying this. Basically, they're saying it's us, but I get that all the time, and it's basically a virus. So nobody accept that, please.
Yeah, don't open it. Don't open the video. Opening the message isn't going to give you the virus. Opening the video will. So don't open the video.
So back to the questions real quick. James 467 said that was the best time.
I think before Raw was War was the best time, but I'm an old dog. I grew up with the old ways, the new ways, not so much.
James 467 says PG era sucks.
I couldn't agree more. I completely agree with you. They're going back in time instead of going forward in time, but it's what pays the bills and it's what gets them their ratings. And since they became a publicly traded company, they kind of got to have more stuff on PG because their board of directors are trying to make money, and they don't want their names attached to stuff that could seem questionable or racy or sexy or any of that stuff.
BRFM TV said, I don't sub just to anyone unless I truly like their personal and attitude and heart. He got a new sub.
Rock on, brother. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Let's see. All right. James 467 says Jack fought Brock at one time.
Yeah, I'm sure he did because Zach went over to New Japan. See, I did some time over in Japan, and it was fun, but those guys hurt, and they hurt. They hurt when they hit you. When they talk about strong style, these guys are looking to take your head off because they wrestle like they used to do in the old days. They'd hit you. Two men get into a fight, it ain't none of this slapping nonsense. It ain't 20 minutes of chops. I can cuss Ric Flair for that.
Mr. Cole says, have you ever met Andre the Giant?
Years ago when I was a kid, he used to come, when he was wrestling in the Garden, he would come to get his pay from my uncle who worked at the pay window for the wrestlers at their events. So I would get to sit in the office and I get to meet all the guys. That's what got me into wrestling. That's what made me want to wrestle, was meeting all these dudes who were larger than life to like an 8-year-old kid, 9-year-old kid looking up at these guys going, I want to be you when I grow up.
Lenny says, had cancer at 23, now 52. Do not listen to doctors.
No, ma'am, I don't.
Chuck Taylor says, impressive.
And anybody can do it. I mean, the wrestling business isn't for everybody, but everybody can be for the wrestling business. And it sounds, funny to say that because there's always something you can do if you've got a decent personality. And you got to be a little outgoing. You got to be able to, to do something like talk. Hell, even if you're good at setting up the ring, there's always something that can be done for anybody. So the wrestling business isn't off limits for anybody, unless you're just a crappy human being and have no real personality and don't like people. Then you shouldn't try getting a career in it.
BRFam TV says, yep, on point, bro. 100% real talk. Seriously.
Well, like I said, I'm glad you guys like what I have to say and like my content. I can't do nothing else but keep it straight. It's too hard to remember lies. When people lie, they got to make a lie to cover a lie. They make a lie to cover the second lie. I'm too old and too tired and too beat up to want to have to fool with that nonsense. So I tell you the truth the first time, I ain't got to worry about you coming back saying, oh, you lied. I'm like, no, I didn't. So, yeah, keeping it real is the only way I can be.
James 467 says that's possibly why I like pipe bomb.
Okay, pipe bombs are good. Problem with pipe bombs is they don't happen often enough, and even the pipe bombs aren't always truthful. Like when CM Punk did his pipe bomb, half of that was scripted. He'll tell you they gave him a script, so he got to talk about things that were annoying him, but he could only talk in a way they wanted him to talk. And they claimed it was a complete shoot, but it's a work shoot.
Mr. Cole says, I'm staying retired.
Well, that's cool because I'm not getting back into the ring for anything other than maybe a promo here or there, or to put over a dude. But I'm not taking ever another shot to the head. I'm not taking another power bomb or suplex. I'm not taking any of those anymore. My body will break into little pieces, and I'll be like a Lego. You have to put me back together and find all the body parts to put back together and hope they fit the holes.
BRFM TV says, loving how real You keep it, bro. I'm from Cali, too, fam. Got the Cali love.
That's cool. I am from Cali, and eventually I'm moving back to Tennessee once the kids are grown and the wife and I can move where we want to go.
As soon as you come back to Tennessee, you let me know.
Oh yeah, of course, of course. My daughter used to be involved in the wrestling business. She used to be one of the smallest ring valets in the world, one of the youngest. And she used to travel with me a lot when school was out and on vacations and stuff like that. We would go to different places, like, go up and down Mississippi, New Orleans, up and down Florida. She had a blast. And she got to meet, she used to hang out with Paul Bearer, because Paul Bearer worked with us for a long time at Pensacola Wrestling Alliance. And she would hang out with him, sit with him. And she's got autographs. She's got pictures of her and him together. She just, growing up, she loved the business.
All right, guys, get your last question in, because when I read this and your last question, we're going to end this live stream. I ate wrestling Mexican wrestlers. No way. I'm still retired.
See, I like the Mexican wrestlers. Those guys have a lot of heart, and they do a lot of work. They put a lot of energy into their wrestling. They put a lot of energy and thought into their actual matches. These are some of the few guys that I know that can work a match and not have to talk at all. Because they do it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Oh, you're fine, brother. You're fine. I was just saying they do it. They know what they're doing. They wrestle the same guys 360 days out of the year. So they don't ever have to talk. They don't have to call spots. They don't have to work the match before the show actually starts. I have a lot of respect for them.
Mods, go ahead and call it. Last questions, please. Go ahead and call it. Last questions, and we'll want to end it from there. Very evil. Doctors are worse. They had me dead. Guess I'm still here.
Hey, that's how it was for me. Every time I've been diagnosed, I go, oh, I'll make your peace with God, get your coffin, you're going to be gone, and I'm still here. I've outlived 3 out of the 4 doctors that told me I was going to die.
They don't even push some of their youngest talent.
Yeah, he's talking about WWE doesn't push new talent. Yeah, because they're afraid of what's going to happen if they push new talent. You got old talent that are making millions of dollars a year who are going to get pissed off and not show up. And new talent's not a draw. You're not putting asses in seats with new guys. You're putting asses in seats with marquee guys like John Cena, The Undertaker, Triple H, people like that.
I'm going to speak for me and you. Okay.
All right.
James 467, I want to say thank you for being a fan of the wrestling business. And you too, Julie. Love you all, guys. Got to go. Have a good one. Have a good day. Wonderful day. All right, Lenny, have a good one. That's the problem with WWE getting talent from New Japan.
I like New Japan. They just don't speak English, so they don't get pushed over here very much. My favorite is Shinsuke Nakamura. My wife loves him.
Amber and John says, I don't like wrestling at all, but I like to hear their stories.
Well, that's cool. That's cool.
James 467 says, I can talk about it for hours.
So can we. Me and Jesse were talking about it for hours last night.
Let's see. That's right. Richard says that's where I am from, New Orleans, Louisiana.
I used to party in New Orleans when I was younger. Great city. Great city. Even after Katrina.
Ray Mysterio Jr. is good. That's from Mr. Cool.
Yeah, Ray's good. Ray's a good guy also in real life. You know, he's a good wrestler. He's a good family man. He's, you know, got a good head on his shoulders, and he's got a good heart.
I don't think Ray is carrying on his conscience, and he needs to let go. When he was in Mexico, and he accidentally, and I saw the video on this, he accidentally hit the guy the wrong way on accident. The guy literally fell over dead in the ring in Mexico.
Perro Aguayo. Yeah, Perro Aguayo.
And he's carrying that on his conscience. He needs to let that go.
Well, they were wrestling for Lucha Underground when he did it, AAA. And what had happened was, dude was already dead. He broke his neck when he hit the ring rope wrong to take the 619. He already broke his neck. And when Ray kicked him, that was the final. He was already dead on his feet.
Right.
10 minutes before the actual 619 hit him. That's what the autopsy said. Dude was already dead. And his body was shutting down when Ray hit him with the 619. Mm-hmm. So they cleared Ray of any sort of culpability in that. It wasn't even an accidental death claimed or attributed to Ray. Dude fell wrong, but he had been having issues with his neck for like 2 weeks before the show. And he wouldn't get it taken care of.
I was going to stop at Long John's, Chuck. Jeez, take my good vibes away here now. Come on. All right. Julie says, awesome to learn about wrestling outside the ring.
Well, you guys know where to find me. You know where to find Jesse. You ever want to just chew the shit and eat, chew the fat? Ask us questions. We have no problem giving you real answers.
All right, last questions. I love wrestling since I was a kid. TJ Woods working shop. I'm sorry about that.
Most of us fans have loved it since we were kids. So you're in great company.
Amber and John says Katrina changed the map forever for Louisiana.
Yeah. And hopefully the next time something like that happens, they'll be better prepared.
All right, guys. So today we had The Man Refuses to Die. On the panel today, we interviewed him on the Mitchell Family Talk Show. We want to thank everybody who was here to ask him questions. If you was on the panel, on the live stream watching in the chat and asked questions or not, when this hard post, please go back and rewatch it and comment in the comment section. Also, smash that like button. Please share out. Also, subscribe if you have not subscribed. And if you have subscribed, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I do want to share with everybody right now, real quick. My wife's going to kill me if I don't get out the door.
I don't want to be responsible for your death, man, because that's what looking for me.
So this is where we're at today with family members. If you're new here, you're not a subscriber, you're not a viewer, you're not a watcher, you're not a subscription. You're family. So we want to say welcome to the Mitchell Family Reality Show TV, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here. It's an honor to have you here as a part of our family. We'll make it seem like, we'll make you feel like you're right here with us. Also, please check out the merchandise, ladies and gentlemen. Check out the merchandise in the description. Check out the P.O. box. If you want a shout out, please send us some family mail. If it's a letter, if it's a postcard, if it's a card, or if it's a box like you saw that Top Gun did send to us full with drinks and mints and the stickers, the little sticker thing, the letter, he got a shout out. So if you want that shout out the same way he did, please send us some family mail. Check out the merchandise, ladies and gentlemen. Christmas time's around the corner. Christmas sales. Use the discount code if you buy more than one item. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as I always say, make sure you all support each other, love each other. No hate, no bullying. Anybody's welcome here. No matter what you look like Cap 7 says, anybody's welcome here. I don't care if you're pink, yellow, green, purple. We don't care. We don't care if you're in a wheelchair. You're welcome here. If you're shut in, you're welcome here. We don't care what you look like. But as we also say at the end, wait till you see what we got coming your way next time, ladies and gentlemen.
Outstanding. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Cool. I am the man who refused to die. You guys know me. So those of you that don't, come hit my channel. I'm sure you'll find something you'll like. And if you don't like it, hey, tell me why you don't like it. Maybe we can discuss it. But thank you, Jesse. I appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate the interview. As always, you're a gracious host. And you guys make sure you support Jesse and the Mitchell family. You know, they do good work. They put out good product. You guys love them. Make sure you support them. Hit that like button. Hit that share button. If you ain't subscribed already, you might as well subscribe because you know you're coming back.